and welcome to What's Your Testimony. I'm sure a lot of you are in home and stirring around, but today we've got a message on scamming. Dan Starks, one of our Charlotte natives, he's going to be here today to talk to you about scamming. There's a lot of scamming going on right now because people are home because of this pandemic, but we're going to help you guys out while we're at home, and we're gonna, this courtesy of wytv7.org. If you guys like listening to these messages or may want to be a guest on our show, please donate to wytv7.org. And now we're going to hear, today we're going to talk about scamming. There's a lot of scamming going on. And Dan, are you there?
I am here.
Okay. Dan? Tell us, how do you identify yourself when a scammer call you? What should you do?
I think it's the most important thing. When you answer a phone, when somebody's calling, never say, and if they ask, who's calling, or can you hear me, never answer the word with the word yes, because that can be cloned into another document that could be used to steal your identification. If somebody asks me, what is my name? Before telling them my name, I'm going to ask them, who is this and what are you going to do with the information? I do not want to say, yes, Dan Starks, because that can be then cloned into a tape that can be used to steal identity and, used to steal all sorts of information and equipment off the internet. So you've got to make sure that before you answer any specific questions, you know exactly whom you're talking to. These scammers have gotten smart enough that they change their phone number, so when the phone number comes in, it looks like a legitimate phone number. So you can't be fooled by that. We have to understand, as crazy as it is, these scammers are using technology to their advantage to emotionally and financially disarm us.
Okay, Dan. Now, what about government agencies or the IRS? Will they call you?
A government agency will never call to ask for a payment. I had a phone call a couple of weeks ago, and the guy identified himself from Duke Power. And so he said, your payment is due, and if you don't pay by 4 o'clock, we're going to turn your power off. I said, can you tell me what checking account I made the last payment on? And of course he couldn't, and that's when I knew it was a scam. I asked him what my account number was, and he had no idea, and I disconnected the phone. You have to be savvy when you answer the phone, because these people, they made a career out of it, and they have a PhD in scam theft.
Okay, I've had some people call me and said, I want to give you a free credit report, or I want to identify you for a credit report. Tell us a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about free credit reports.
Well, first of all, there is no such thing as a free credit report. You can go online and you can go to certain websites and get a credit report, but when you ask for a free credit report, you're giving an agency too much personal information, Social Security, date of birth, driver's license number, and that can be all used against you. So again, if you're trying to find out what your credit is, there are certain agencies that will actually handle that legally and legitimate, and you don't have to worry about losing your identity. You have to understand, if you use a free credit report, the only thing they're going to do is sign you up for their paid service. And all of a sudden you're going to find money coming out of a credit card on a regular basis. And if you've answered the question yes in your name, then basically what you're saying to them, you're giving them permission to steal from you.
Okay, Dan. Now, some of our listeners may have just joined in. We're talking with Dan Stark about scamming. So what if, I know that they like to target the older community. Can you talk a little bit about scamming in the older communities?
Well, scamming in the older community has been going on for a long time. Matter of fact, there's a 900 credit card scam that's been going on for quite some time. You'll get a thing in the mail that will tell you to call a 900 number to get free whatever cruise or whatever the case. And what's going to happen is you're going to get an expensive phone bill on your next incoming bill. 800, 1,800, just a ridiculous amount of money. So it is the older people, because older people are less computer savvy. But I think what's happening, we have forgotten that our young people are very, very vulnerable to scams. I had a student who took her 15-year-old son to the DMV to get his learner's permit. And he's standing there and he gives the lady his phone number and her name and his date of birth and Social Security. And she's typing on the computer and she stops and goes, "What do you need a learner's permit for? You already have a driver's license." And then she clicks another button and says, "By the way, there's an arrest warrant there's a warrant for your arrest for child support payment." The mother said to the little boy, "Son, we need to talk." Well, what happened is somebody in California, when the kid was 14 years old, was stolen the Social Security number and then ended up doing all sorts of illegal things. And the mother found out about it. And, but so it's not just seniors that are getting taken advantage of. It's anybody. I look at it this way. If you can draw a breath, then you can be scammed.
Okay.
So there's a whole bunch of scams that are out there. There's a list of top 10 scams. Debit credit card scam is one thing. The bank is never going to call you and ask you what your Social Security number is or what your debit card is. That's information that they have already.
Myself, I have been bombarded with extended warranty, people sending me letters, people calling, talking about extended warranty. And I know that that's some type of scam. Can we talk a little bit about that?
It is. I bought a car about 2 years ago. It's got a 10-year warranty. So I get a phone call at least once a week about an extended warranty. I immediately hang up, because what they're wanting to do, they're wanting to get your personal information so they can steal your identity. If you have any questions, ask the person on the phone, really, what kind of car is it for and what year is it for? Because they will not have an answer. And at that point in time, you'll know that it's not a legitimate request.
So Dan, also, I've been getting a lot of 900 number scamming. So can we just touch bases on that so people know to look at that to see what is really going on with these 900 number scams?
The 900 number scam is something that usually comes in the mail. And they ask, call us 900 and, register, you've won a free cruise or whatever. And the problem is when you call that 900, unbeknownst to you, you're probably being forwarded to an adult website, and they're charging your phone probably $10, $15 for every 5 minutes you're on the phone. So all of a sudden, you get your phone bill a month later, and there's a $45 fine on there from a 900 number that you thought was a free call. Not a free call. I tell people, there are no free things in life. It's kind of like when you go out to the mall. You'll see there in the mall, they have these little pads. Sign up and win a free cruise. When you sign up and send that information, all you're doing is you're giving people personal information that they can steal from you. I tell my students, if you want a cruise, get an education and pay for it.
Absolutely. So Dan, we're in the 21st century. Let's talk about texting. There's a lot of people out there, they don't even answer their phone. They do a lot of texting. Do scammers reach you doing texting?
Yeah, texting is just another way for people to get your information. You need to know the source of where the text came from. When a text comes in, it will normally identify the source of the phone. If it's something you don't know, you should not respond to it, because, again, you're opening up personal information to somebody who has probably not your own personal interest in their own mind. credit card. You also get credit card requests for credit card with advanced fees. All of that stuff is a scam. All they're trying to do is get your money out of your pocket. And it's our job to make it as difficult as possible. I believe a real simple thing. It's not that I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anyone. And if you want to be, involved with me, you've got to earn my trust and make sure that you know exactly what I need to know exactly what you're looking for. I mean, the top 10 scams is a debt collection scam. There's a fake government scam. There's an identity theft scam. There's also an arrest scam. There's the law enforcement agency. If they want to arrest you, they're not going to send you a letter. They're not going to send you a note. They're going to knock on your door. And the element of surprise, they want it to be there so that they don't have any resistance. They're not going to tell you, hey, we're going to be coming out on Tuesday afternoon, because it really only increases the level of threat to the people on site.
So, Dan, let's talk about recording. Some people still have answer machine or voicemail, and they leave a recording. What should we do about that?
If you have an answering machine or a voicemail, I'd say, hi, this is Dan. Please leave your name, your number, and the subject you're interested in. Do not tell them I'm out of town. Do not say I'm on vacation. Do not say, I'll be home at 5 o'clock. People can get too much information off that. Just answer who you are, what your name is, and exactly what do you want, and then sign off. Because again, you have to. I believe the fewer people you trust, the less a victim you'll become of these kinds of scams.
So, Dan, can you give us some examples of different kind of scams that you have come in contact with in your time of working with safety, to try to give people examples? Because sometimes people really need examples.
Well, I've had scams where people have been notified that there's a warrant for their arrest, and it's false. I've had people who have been scammed saying that they have a problem at their bank and that they just need to, give the bank their information. One of the most common scams is for somebody to call and give you your credit card number and then say, I just need the code, the security code on the back of it. Well, when you give them your security code, they now can take that credit card and use it to steal or buy anything they want. I think you have to make sure that you know whom you're talking with, what it's going to be about, and what they're going to do with the information. It's especially in this day of this COVID virus. I mean, I can't imagine the number of scams we're going to see coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be uncanny. There's going to be people going to say, donate to this organization. If you want to donate to the COVID organization, the COVID cause, go to the World Health Organization. If you have any questions about an agency, go to your Better Business Bureau and have them do research on it.
Well, Dan, I've noticed within the last couple of months or so, I have been getting recordings. I have been getting texts about different agencies that are wanting me to respond, and I've just thrown them away. And I've also been getting phone calls, and my phone I pay for like technology to say like a scam call, but I've been getting calls from places I've never even visited, California, Utah, Nevada. Can we talk a little bit about that?
There's a lot of robo calls out there. These are automatic calls that a machine just goes ahead and it dials your number, and hopefully you'll get an answer. If there's no answer, it'll go on to the next number. Again, if you don't recognize the number, my advice would be not to answer it. But you might want to write the number down, and then if they say it's from, like the phone call I'd had from Duke Power, I called the Duke Security Department later in the afternoon, and they admitted that this was a very recent, current scam that I had no problems with Duke Power.
Well, Dan, what I've done is I've tried to, I've blocked the calls because, I have the capability on my phone. But seemingly when I block it, another number will call and it's from the same location. So I know it's from that same company. Can we talk a little bit about that if you try to block a scammer?
Well, you can block a scammer, but with the computer system, what they'll do is they'll just create another number. They'll go up a digit or down a digit, and they'll just keep trying. Those are robocalls, and it's a computer. So my advice again is, if you don't recognize it, is not to answer it, because once you answer it, then you'll go into a bank of a potential victim. If you don't answer it, it'll probably drop off their list.
Okay, Dan, will IRS ever call you and say that you owe a certain amount of money that they will do a reduction in your payment?
No. If the IRS wants to get in touch with you, they'll send you a certified letter. You're not going to get a phone call from the IRS. Also, we've seen some scams where people get called and told they're being selected for jury duty. When they ask for your Social Security number, have them give it to you. Do not give them your phone. Never give your Social Security number, date of birth, address, or any personal information to anyone on a phone call that you did not originate. If you originated the phone call and you're calling somebody that you know, then you should feel comfortable that you're trusting them. But when you get an incoming phone call wanting that kind of personal information, all they're doing is called e-phishing. They're looking out for information, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just don't understand how things work, and they give people information because they trust people.
So, Dan, if I know that I've been scammed or realize that I haven't been scammed, who can I report this to? Who do I call?
Well, first of all, if you think it's a local organization, you can call a Better Business Bureau, or you can call your local police department and give them as much pertinent information, the time of day it came in, the number it came in, and if you have a copy of the message, that would be to your advantage as well. But again, understand, with all the crime that's going on, now with this virus going on, these police agencies are just slammed. So you'll probably never hear back from them, but at least you'll have put it on file for your records.
So what about door-to-door scamming? And I know right now during this pandemic, nobody's doing door-to-door, but prior to this, how people come up and say, I want to, not necessarily that the magazine people are scamming, but people are coming door to door. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I have a simple philosophy. If I don't know you're coming over, I will not answer my door. I do not have people just knock on my door. I know the UPS people, when he comes up, if he drops a package at my door, he'll ring the doorbell, knock, and walk away just to let me know it's there. But I do not think you should go to the door without knowing it. In our house, if you come to my front door, I have a bedroom off the side where I can look out the window and at least identify who's out there before I go to the door. And it's a shame that this is happening, but that's the society we're living in right now.
Well, I know a lot of young people say, oh, well, you can't live in fear. You can't be fearful for your life. But let's talk about the safety in not responding to these people.
Well, I think you need to let them know. It's like somebody calls and says, hi, is your mom home? We don't want our children to say no. We want our children to say, yes, my mom's home. Right now she's tied up teaching my brother or, doing something, washing the car or whatever. We don't want the people calling our children to know that you're home alone. Same thing as somebody calls up, you don't want to identify that you go to Providence High School or whatever, that you play lacrosse. because all that information with Facebook can be used against you. And these people then may show up at the Providence High School lacrosse field and come up and emotionally disarm you by saying, "Hey, Sharita, how are you? Remember we chatted on the internet the other day." You're giving them too much access to you personally.
Okay, Dan, also, I've heard some things about an Ebola virus scam. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Now, the Ebola virus scam was something that happened a few years ago when the Ebola was the rage disease at the time. It's just an older version of the coronavirus scam. And the coronavirus scam is not a scam. It's an actual, it's an actual disease. But people are using it to their advantage to scam people who are, are very generous or clueless or whatever the case may be. It's just they're using that information to play on people's emotions.
Well, Dan, I find it, in the afternoons or in the mornings, I get more calls. Is there a certain time, like a high peak when people are being targeted?
I don't think it's a particular time. I think, it may be just that more people are home in the morning, more people are just getting their day started, more people are probably a little bit more emotionally vulnerable because they haven't had to face the realities of day-to-day living yet.
All right, Dan. Dan, I just want to thank you today for talking to us on scamming. And I know a lot of people right now are being scammed, especially with this pandemic going on with the COVID-19. And if you're out there and you think you've been scammed, there is a scamming hotline number you can call. It's 1-877-382-4357. That's 1-877-382-4357. And if you need any other information, you can go on our website. That's wytv7.org. You can also go there to donate. You can also go there if you would like to be a guest on our show. We would like to thank our listeners. We would like to thank WYTV7. And we would like to thank everyone. And right now, as a nation, we need to be safe. We need to stay at home. And this reminds me of Psalm 37. It said, wait, I say, wait on the Lord. So be safe, be in good cheer. God will deliver us. This is Sharita Williams signing off for What's Your Testimony on WYTV7.org. Thank you and good night.